In today's video, we ask the question, how many times will we allow somebody to point a gun at us before we do something about it? Hi friends, welcome to today's bonus badge cam lesson here at Active Self-Protection. With me, the fully recovered Mike Williver, and I'm your host, John Correa.
Today's video comes to us from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Newbold Targets is now Throom. I use Throom targets on the range for all the benefits of steel with none of the drawbacks. They're made in the USA too. Pick up a set to make your shooting more fun and effective. Officers have been called to a disturbance in this apartment complex, and they have come across this guy who's banging on doors. Apparently he has some family members who live in the complex, but he doesn't. So the officer's gonna ask him to show him his hands, what's in his pockets. And when the guy does that, you're gonna see it's not good. So see, he's got his hand in his pocket and kind of trying to figure out what's going on with him. Let's listen into the officer's badge cam from here.
Can I just see what you have? Okay, put it down on the ground.
Wait, y'all, wait! You're a rookie. You're a rookie. You're a rookie. You don't know. You're a rookie. Go.
Okay, stay right there. Do not move. Stay right there.
What?
Just stay over there.
Please, sir. Please. Please. Please don't do that.
73, I got a guy with a gun. I'm not doing anything. Look, I'm not doing, don't shoot. Don't shoot. I'm not.
I'm finna shoot your ass.
Don't
punk.
shoot.
I'm
Don't
finna
shoot.
shoot your bitch ass. Don't drop the gun.
I don't have it. Look. I don't have it. I don't have it. Shots fired. Shots fired. The guy has a gun over here. Isabella. I'm okay, but I need backup.
The officer was the only one to take a shot here. It missed, and our perp scurried off into his family's apartment where he barricaded himself, and SWAT showed up. And after negotiations until 2 o'clock in the morning, got that dummy to finally turn himself in. The officer was unharmed other than his pride, and we get to think about lessons. All right, Mike, totally candid question on this one. First time you watched this video, what was your thought? Yeah. So Mike, I think it seems to me that this officer is trying for what looks like an emotionally disturbed man or somebody who's clearly not in their right mind, that he's trying to soft play this and trying to be like, hey man, what's going on? Let's see if I can resolve this and get you some help, because this guy clearly is not right mentally. And I think that's actually okay, but at some level, you got to flip the switch.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of police don't move as being your opening line in a situation like this, because it gives you as long as they listen, it gives the officer or deputy a second to go, okay, what am I dealing with here? Show me your hands, show me what's in your pockets. Hopefully agencies will get away from even saying that.
Yeah.
Because
I don't want to see what's in your pockets.
If their hands are in their pockets, don't move is a good command to give them, because if their hands come out with a gun in them, now you're drawing from the drop.
Well, and again, what came out of his pocket? A gun. So I don't understand here. This guy just decides to pull a gun, and he's not pointing it at the officer, but anybody who pulls a gun and shows a gun to a police officer in full uniform who is performing their duty, why wouldn't you have a gun on this guy immediately? Because clearly bad things are coming.
I don't hate the idea that he backed away. I like that he got some distance. That part was fine. He clearly knew it was a gun, because the first thing he said was, hey, put that on the ground.
Right.
So
it
wasn't like the gun didn't register as a gun. He knew it was a gun. I don't know why he didn't draw a gun at this very moment.
Again, I get it. I think he's trying, wait a minute, this guy's an emotionally disturbed guy. I think, he's not in his right mind. Let's see if I can solve this. But you've got to be able to flip that switch to, holy cow, this guy might want to kill me right now, and I have to protect myself from that, because guess what? He doesn't have the right to harm me in any capacity. You said earlier, hey, I like that he got some distance. I agree with you. Having some distance is good, but recognize that the threat doesn't go away just because you get some distance. He's there again with the gun in his hand, in his pocket.
The thing about distance is you have to use it to your advantage, and he just stood there as near as I can tell. I don't know if he has a gun out at this point. Do we know?
Okay. No, 100% does not.
So he's now backed off this far. We have a mutual friend. We won't name his name, but he's a law enforcement officer in Oklahoma, and he says this is evidently this sort of behavior on the part of younger officers and deputies is catching on for some reason. I don't know if it's a social media thing. I don't know if it's something in their training. I have no idea. But if this sort of thing is becoming common in any way, shape, or form, it needs to be nipped directly in the bud. Once he got that distance down the hall, now's a really, really good time to draw a pistol and start giving commands.
Right.
We're no longer trying.
Crisis.
Yeah, we're no longer trying to de-escalate or whatever else. We're trying to get him to put that gun down, and if he doesn't and comes towards you, we're trying to shoot him. At this point, I am absolutely so nervous watching this. It absolutely made me itch all over watching this guy draw the gun, and he's like, "Don't shoot me."
Yeah, he literally doesn't have a gun in his hand at this point. Guy has now drawn a gun and is pointing it at the officer, and it is literally only the grace of God that he doesn't die here.
I have no idea what's going through his mind. Maybe he was afraid. Look, cops. It's okay to be afraid. We all get afraid during certain situations. There's nothing wrong with being afraid. But you have to harness that fear and decide what do you do to protect your own life. And I just don't know what was going through his mind at this point. The person is now pointing a gun at you. You have to draw and shoot now. You have to draw and shoot now.
Right.
There is no other option. Like you said, only this guy just decided not to pull the trigger, or the gun malfunctioning, or whatever kept this officer alive. I'm glad he's alive, but man, we have got to address this.
And straight up, if you think that you couldn't draw a gun and point it at another human, don't go into law enforcement. Straight up. Find another career. That's not evil or bad or wrong, but just recognize that it's not for you.
Yeah, I like to say that if you're in law enforcement or you're a concealed carrier, or even if you just have a gun at home for protection, you need to have had that conversation with yourself in your head that, am I actually willing to pull the trigger and harm or kill another human being if my life is threatened? You need to have a serious talk with yourself and with your God that you're able to do that. I don't know if that was his problem, that he just couldn't bring himself to draw and shoot, but if that is what's going through your mind, you need to resign and go do something else. And I don't mean that with any malice whatsoever. I just mean this job is not for you. Maybe, seriously, be a fireman or paramedic. Very rewarding job that you, generally speaking, don't have to shoot anyone when you're doing it. Right. That same sort of drive to help people drives cops and firefighters and paramedics. So maybe there's another job for you out there. Where you froze it here, just absolutely unreal.
You know, and if you've never put yourself in this situation mentally and you go, I don't know what I would do. Well, that's why we put these videos out, for you to be able to get a mental rep and go, no, man, long before this, I want to stop this threat immediately. Because again, guy's got his finger on the trigger, the gun pointed right at your face. And if you look at the officer here, and you can see his shadow, look just to the right of the perp and watch his shadow. And as we move a little bit forward, you can see again, the officer literally has both his hands in the air with nothing but the grace of God between him and this guy shooting him in the face. This is full surrender posture. And not only is that not a defense, is it not going to be effective, but it actively invites other people to do you harm, and does harm to you and to everyone else in your department.
Yeah, my friend Marcus Custer would call this prey behavior. Hiding, putting your hands up, trying to get away. When you have the means and opportunity to defend yourself and you choose to do this instead. Just a note to this officer, if you're watching this, we don't like having to make this video. I feel bad for you. I know that your life is never going to be the same, and this has probably been very, very difficult on you, but I would say either get some more training or go find something else to do, man. This whole thing made me very, very uncomfortable to watch.
And again, having the ability to be aggressive enough at the right time is an important part of self-defense. And that's what this is. This isn't really even law enforcement at this point. This is just, am I willing to defend myself? And thankfully, eventually the officer gets it in his head, but look at the shadow again. He's got the gun out with one hand. He's shielding himself with his arm with the other and really exhibiting kind of emotional firing here. So finally he gets the gun out and gets a shot. It worked, but it wasn't an effective technique for self-defense.
Now, I don't know the mental state of this perp, but he's demonstrating predator behavior. And when a predator sees that you're weak and unwilling to protect yourself, that emboldens them. You see him get bolder and bolder and bolder throughout the course of this video, to where I think he's reaching for the officer's firearm at 100%. The end. So that's why you will see some cops come up and seem like they're overly aggressive at the jump. Maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe they've been through something, So give them a break. And officers, there's a time for de-escalation and there is a time for rapid escalation, and you got to know the difference.
Yep. And again, time to get the gun out and do good work with it. Because otherwise, this guy then ran back into his apartment and threatened everybody in there with safety. Now you go, wait a minute, well, he wouldn't threaten his family. Well, guess what? All the SWAT cops who showed up outside certainly were a threat for a significant amount of time. So putting this threat down earlier would have been a better thing. This is a really tough example for us to see. I don't want to be that guy who says, who makes jokes or any of these things. It's a very serious situation that if you're going to go into law enforcement, you need to have the mindset first, an attitude that says, I am ready to protect myself and my community at any given moment, and the skills and the plan to back that up.
To his credit, at the end, he got back in there and decided to go start looking for this guy. So, officer, wherever you are, if you're listening to this, we wish you all the best, and I hope you can put this behind you.